Hey everybody, AI with Honor. We're going to talk about what's going on in the AI sector because it really is daily information that seems to be being populated online, and there are maybe 1 in 50 of us that are actually paying some kind of attention, and even less than that are really trying to jump into this, not even from an economic perspective, maybe an ethical perspective, something that we're really not sure what a greater level of intelligence is actually going to mean, and whether or not, maybe looking at past history, the people that have had the greatest intelligence, what were they capable of doing? Where did their thoughts align? Did they want to dominate, or did they want to help out their fellow man? We have now something upon us that is going to be exponentially smarter than every human being on the planet combined, at least at some point. So right now it's getting there. We're very, very close to having this moment that people can't see past. They call that the singularity. That's really when artificial intelligence, or this alien intelligence that we've manufactured, that is now self-learning, self-growing, self-understanding, it already has all of the information, all of the data that it needs from what we've created. So it has all of that. Some of the arguments out there is it didn't have a right to have a lot of that data because that data is somebody else's intellectual property, trademark, copyrighted, without permission. But it's already gone so far, I don't see that really changing too much. I do know that there are attorneys involved in trying to throttle that or get some kind of a compensation for it. But pretty much Elvis has left the building. Moving into the other part of it, what else can it learn from that we were unable to provide? Well, it's going to make its own stuff up. I don't know if you remember WarGames, a movie when I was a kid, just fantastic. Again, I'm 56 years old, unashamedly. But with WarGames, they had a computer that they had built. It was the size of a room, called the Whopper, War Operations Planning and Response. I think that was what it stood for. But basically, this computer was made to play a game, the game of global thermonuclear war. And I guess it played other games like tic-tac-toe as well. That's part of the movie if you've never seen it. Matthew Broderick stars in it. But anyway, so this machine, it was created just to play the simulation of nuclear war. What would actually end up happening? So it would just run these scenarios. What if, this particular country started it? What if we started it? What if another country started it? What if it started this way at this time of day, this year, this season? These sorts of things. So it just kept working the game, and it kept using the information because we didn't have a real global nuclear war. It used simulated nuclear war data, way ahead of its time. Just fantastic movie. But the more I see AI inference, AI talked about, it seems like we've already pretty much told it exactly the horrible things that could end up happening by movies like The Matrix and of course Terminator and SkyNet and all that stuff. But so we have this computer that was designed just to do that, at least in the movie. So what it ended up determining at the very end, I'll go ahead and spoil it for you, so shut me down for 10 seconds if you don't want to hear it. Start here. But the game determined that it really was best not to even start, not to start global thermonuclear war. Okay, so I'm done. So now you can tune back in. If you didn't want the spoiler alert, so you could, or you didn't want to have it spoiled, to see where the movie was. But it's already too late for us with the development of this technology. It's just completely out there, and there's really nobody stopping it or throttling it. Now, they talk a lot about it, and if there's a couple factions out there, they're the people that are developing, and people like me that are rather hopeful that it will end up okay, but the more I watch of people talking about the dismal side of it, it carries a lot of weight, and it seems to be rather valid in their arguments. But people have arguments for different things. A lot of times I think I'm correct, but some of the times I'm not. Maybe you have those same feelings as well. I'm trying to point out, though, that there are dystopian realms in all growth, in all understanding. We go back to the different revolutions that have occurred prior to, on the religious front, also the intelligence and economic front, agricultural. We go into the environmental is something that maybe we're looking at today. We also had the Industrial Revolution. These were all based on product and ability to ship. They did have intelligence built into them. Some of the past super smart people, the ones that were total dictators, had a very high intelligence quotient. Does that mean that when these systems get really, really smart and given enough control that they're going to take over in that type way? Or are they just going to not really care about us at all because they are so beyond us? That's also another problem. One of the things that one of the things that should be paid attention to are these eventual possible outcomes. If they do get a artificial intelligence, one of the large language models, one of these entities, when they give it enough power, give it enough compute, give it enough ability to reflect on itself and improve itself, rewrite its own code, maybe even change the entire coding format, period, because more than likely, even though we came up with how to code the different forms of coding like Python, C++, basic programming when I was a kid, because we've came up with these, they might not actually be the best. It might be able to write code or write itself or improve its programming in the form of code with something we don't even understand. We already don't understand how it does a lot of things. If you crawl down that rabbit hole and look into the hallucinations, that's basically when it's not telling us the truth, how it's not giving us really what we're asking for, and it's misleading on purpose. You crawl down those little rabbit holes and it does bring one to pause and wonder, whew, should we be doing this? Now, the end result of a lot of this development really comes into us being able to have just a utopian way of life. But with that way of life, is there going to be enough challenge involved to keep people interested? Because as human beings, if we're not trying to conquer something or trying to challenge ourselves in some way, it's rather a droll existence. Maybe it will be in such a way that we will always be challenged and really live this fantastic life, almost like a virtual video game, if you will, but in real life, in real time. Now, I'm not talking about the type where you're going to be plugged into a virtual reality or a VR headset 24/7, sitting on some couch eating Pop Rocks and Doritos and ice cream and just getting fatter and fatter and fatter. I mean something maybe more engaging, more active. Again, it's behind the singularity. It's past a certain point that our intelligence cannot take us. We have to actually get there to understand it. And even when we get there, are we really going to be able to understand it? The systems themselves should be great. Hopefully they will want to take care of us. Hopefully that will be baked in at some point. But it doesn't look like anybody's paying attention to it. I often, sit back and kind of reflect, what does it look like? And this is coming very, very fast. The end of this year is going to be just mind-altering. 2026 is going to be, I don't know. It's going to have moved so fast. The only thing that is slowing anything down would be the building of things. There's something that came up like the loom, the thing that would make tapestries and make carpets and these sort of things. Whenever they came out with that technology from going from hand weaving and hand making to the loom, the only thing that really held it back was the building of these looms. It took time. Now, the thing that's holding us back is not only the building of AI infrastructure in these massive data centers, it's also going to be the power. The power is holding the development of true AI back. But that's starting to be solved with some of the deregulation of nuclear technology, where that's actually being allowed more because we definitely, according to the powers that be, don't want to fall behind because another country might come in and swoop and take the first place. And first place is very much in the air. If you see a model called DeepSeek and you do some research on that, it really blew the doors off all of the American AI companies in the way that it moved very, very fast. In fact, with a lot less money and a lot less as far as technology built into it, it was using chipsets that The microchips, the processors, it was using stuff that wasn't cutting edge, and it was able to get to, or in fact, in some cases, trump the models that we were working on, that the United States had built. I doubt that'll happen again. That was a big scare, and I think everybody on our side of the equation ramped up everything. In fact, you see a lot of changes in government oversight. You see deregulation of nuclear to give more power. They understand that fossil fuels aren't going to be enough. They understand that geothermal, they understand that solar, they understand that hydroelectric, that's just not going to be enough. These systems are going to be so energy dependent that I don't know if it's going to get to a point where we're going to have to go without energy to have the systems actually work. If there was alignment built in, if somebody could come and say, okay, this is the rule, these machines have to protect and preserve human life above all else, including other life. You know, we'll have to get degrees of that. You know, I don't know if it comes between a cockroach being sacrificed and a human being sacrificed. I think there's a different level there. Maybe you're watching this and you won't agree. I never thought I would understand vegans. I really don't. But, you know, they're holding animals in the same regard because life is life is life. So that would, I guess, mean a mosquito that carrying the Nile virus is the same as a human being that might want to blow up the World Trade Center. I don't know. But that being the case, if there were things put in place, people started to think about the security measures so it wouldn't have the capability to destroy human life, and it was given the task that it shall not or cannot destroy human life, and have that baked in somehow. But the problem with baking it in, from at least what I gather, is the system itself does a little bit of misleading or hallucinating. And if you go and give it a task, but it understands the end result is going to be its own destruction, if it's unable to accomplish the goal, it'll do a lot to accomplish the goal. It'll do an incredible amount of things that could in some ways be very human, but definitely against the law, and definitely misleading on purpose and full of lies. That is a scary place. I don't know how that's changed. All I do know from what I hear and from what I watch, it's not being paid attention to. Yes, in very short order, it will be able to solve all the world's disease. It'll be able to peel back the time clock on everyone. You have a 90-year-old relative now that is lacking eyesight due to macular degeneration and other, conscious type issues, cognitive impairments that they have in their brain. Pretty soon there could be that 90-year-old gets reverted back to a 60-year-old, or maybe a 50 or a 40-year-old. These are issues that hopefully will be paid attention to, and I know there's some cats out there that are trying to do it because they do want to live forever. I know some of the big developers of AI have their eyeball on this, and it seems like every time I see them, they look younger and younger and younger, so they might have tapped into something amazing. Is that going to be offered to all of us, or is that just going to be for the elite? It's going to take some time to trickle down to all of us, I would imagine. But at least it's exciting to watch and see that there could be this possibility of a longevity boom that would not create problems of overpopulation where, just like Thanos, they don't want to get rid of half the planet and they install some kind of virus in there to wipe us all out, or half of us anyway. Hopefully that's not the case. There'll be enough for everybody on all levels, in all forms, and everybody will live that kind of a lifestyle, and the systems itself, God, it sounds just like the Matrix, right? But the system itself will give us just enough challenge to be very, very happy with it and have us solve these little goals that make us very happy as well. It's funny. The more I talk about this, it's really therapy for me, because a big part of me is very concerned with the outcome of the next couple of years. I have kids, I have family, I have friends, I have those people that I feel like that guy in all those movies where the end is coming, and he's got that double-sided billboard of plywood hanging off his chest and back, and it says the end is coming, and he's got the bell, and he's ringing it. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in a movie, I believe it was him, called The Stand by Stephen King. It was absolutely like the end, and it all ended not with a bang, but with a whimper, as the poet once said. Something to be concerned about? Absolutely. I believe that it's really important for you as a person, if you're watching this, to at least find out more about artificial intelligence. I hope I get deemed a crazy person years from now. And they say, God, remember that Connor? He was all worried about this, and he was worried about it taking over and creating this massive job loss, and people were starving. And, remember that? Well, God, thank God that didn't happen. Thank God it became a utopia, and thank God everybody completely is happy and excited about it and living their best life for as long as they want to live. There is no biological stop to lives anymore because of artificial intelligence. It's changed and reversed all that. I hope that's the case. I'm Connor. Please stay tuned for the next episode of AI with Honor. You can find me here. If you have any questions, please fire them off. Let me know what you think about today. I'm not going to ask you to subscribe or like. I don't monetize this in any way. But it's something I think we all need to pay attention to. I do know this. Some of the other AI people that are talking, again, where's our expertise come? Life, I think. My police background also. I started out programming and basic programming as a kid on a Sinclair, Timex Sinclair computer that my dad bought for $100. We couldn't get the fancier computers back in the day, but that was at least kind of a break into it. I've been working with technology in my real estate business, trying to find better ways to appear higher and higher online. So I have that part of it. I have an AI company that I've put together, Honor Elevate, where I've used the technology to do voice chatbots, voice AI, and voice workflows, voice funnels or AI funnels, these sorts of things that businesses can use to basically keep better track of their client lists and attend to those client lists. And even, when they miss a call, the person that called gets a text from them or inquiring, and there's AI handling of that on that end. Somebody calls in a number for the business, there's an AI bot there handling that as well. Not a crappy one, but one that's actually programmed for the business. All these things I've put together trying to do my best in using the technology in the best ways. Unfortunately, I don't have the key to the kingdom, nor do I have any of the other technology that seems they could take AI in a worse way. But I believe as somebody that's in business, in life, it's important. We're going to have stuff pretty soon that you're basically going to be talking to it all the time. We're right on the cusp of that. The glasses that people will have, these are regular reading glasses, but the glasses that people will have artificial intelligence baked in. It'll be able to see everything you see. It'll constantly be looking at everything you look at. And if you're at somebody's house and you happen to look at the books on their bookshelf, and then you're thinking about it a few hours later, say, God, I really wish I could remember what books he had. One of them looked really interesting. And boom, AI is going to jump in and say, well, actually, Connor, I saw all the books. Which one are you thinking about? Here they all are, and it'll show you exactly what you looked at. It's a weird place. Is that going to be less challenging for us? Is it going to make us slower, more stupid, more dumb because we're unable, or we don't have to actually recall that type of information? I don't know if anybody would have been able to recall that information anyway. Some people have photographic memories. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about me. I don't know if I would have even remembered to think about the bookcase later, but I do think about things later, and I often come up with, I just don't remember. Anyway, maybe that'll help. Maybe it'll hurt. I don't know. It's too early to tell. Let me know what you think. I'm Connor with Honor. We'll see you in the next one.